we're going to make a peach cobbler. So I've got some fresh peaches. I saw this hack and I'm trying it out. Look at that. You just need a pair of needle nose pliers. Now I did sanitize those pliers very thoroughly. I love this hack. It really cut the time down in half. And I am peeling the peaches. Now I'm going to put a little lemon in them, put them in the refrigerator and let them chill because we're going to make some dough. Grab your white lily. If you're following along, we're going to put that in the bowl with 2/3 cup of Crisco, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of sugar. You want to make sure you cut that Crisco into that flour mixture really well. It is going to end up looking like this, smaller than a pea size. Now we're going to add some water. How much water I added, I'm going to guess about a 1/2 cup, maybe 1/4 to a 1/2 cup. You'll just have to keep adding that water until you get the consistency you want. And I like it when it all sticks together. There's still a little loose flour in the bottom of the bowl, so I added a little more just to dampen that, and look at there, it's all going together, and that's how you want it. So now we're going to grab the Crisco. We are going to oil our baking dish. I have an 8x8 baking dish, and I'm going to put a little flour in the bottom and get that nice and coated. This will keep your dough from sticking to that baking dish. Now you'll need some more flour, and we're just going to put some down on a surface. You can use your countertop, but I like to use my platter, and just throw that dough onto that surface, and now we're going to start kneading it and working it. And I really wanted you to see what I'm doing here. You want to really work this dough, and I'm splitting it apart. Probably about 2/3 of it I've got for the actual bottom crust of the pie. And we'll use the other third to do the crisscross on top. But I'm working this dough out, and what you really want is for it to spring back. Well, the first time I rolled it out, it did not spring back like I wanted it to, so I started working this dough again. You can do that. It may take you 2 or 3 times, but when you roll it out, you really want this to spring back, and you can see it starting to do that here. And once it does that, you'll be able to pick this up and put it into your dish. Now I've got a square dish, so I was really trying hard to get this square. It doesn't always work out that way, but the nice thing about this recipe is that you can really work with it once you put it in the baking dish. And that's my great-grandmother's rolling pin. I love it. Now we're going to transfer that dough over to your baking dish, and then just start pressing it to the sides, just working it around. And then you're going to take a fork and just poke some holes in it. This does keep your pie crust from bubbling up. And voila, there it is. And now you're going to use 1/3 cup of packed brown sugar and 1/3 cup of sugar. And yes, I put that in the same cup. Now you're going to use a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Give it a stir. And now we are going to add 4 tablespoons of cornstarch. Now I don't use measuring spoons, I just use my tablespoons. You can break out the measuring spoons if you want to. You do you, but you do want to mix this really well. Once you've got it mixed, go ahead and pour it into your pie crust. I really wished I would have had more peaches. It takes quite a few. I had 7 to 8 peaches, and honestly for this 8x8 you would need about, I don't know, 10 to 12 peaches would have been perfect. But we're going to fix this. Go ahead and flap over that dough around the edges, and now we're going to make our strips for the crisscross. Whatever tool you use, make sure you keep it floured. I'm using a pizza cutter. I also like to use a knife. Either way, it doesn't matter to me. And now we're going to start putting it on there. So you want to first create a cross, bend one flap over, and then lay your other strip, flap it back over, and you can just pinch off the side. You're going to do the same thing on the other side. And then we are going to just keep repeating this process. You'll turn your dish and do the other side, and you'll do 2 flaps this time. Same thing on the other side. That's how easy this is to make, and they're so pretty. My grandmother taught me how to make cobblers this way. But now I'm going to get creative, and you can too. This is so much fun. I love playing in dough. I always have. So I just take my pizza cutter, cut out some little leaves, and use the pizza cutter to make the little marks inside the leaves. And look at that. They're not perfect, but they look cute. If you have an aluminum pan to fit your baking dish, this is wonderful to keep it from burning. And you'll keep that on there. We'll bake this on 400 degrees for 45 minutes, but about 30 minutes in, I did take that aluminum pan off so this could get a pretty brown. And now I'm just topping it with some butter and a little sugar, because you can't have a cobbler without a little butter and sugar on top. Y'all, there is no comparison between fresh peaches and canned peaches. This was absolutely so good with ice cream on top. Yum, yum.